Hello, 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 hello. I can't talk tonight. I'm Lynn Browder, and I have a son, Owen, who is 13 and has autism. We paint together working on his fine motor skills. He helps me paint the backgrounds of our paintings, and then I paint the rest. He's been doing more on his own. On the longer video, I generally put a little insert of him painting the backgrounds, doing his he does a lot of the circular motions, and so then we go back together and kind of work on the up and down and some other things. And so that's why you see a lot of times they're kind of like the rough edges and everything, and that's us doing this together. So tonight I had been thinking about a really large sunflower where technically I was just gonna have we'll even see if any of, like, it doesn't really matter because I'm not doing the sunflower leaves per se, but I was gonna start with my yellow, and then I was like, no, I want to do that first, and then come back in and do this. And a lot of times I don't run off the edge on a lot of the paintings I do, but I feel like that's what is going to kind of happen today. So and part of what I was thinking is, like, I want to come in here like it's over the painting, or over the center of this. So as I'm going along, we'll see where I have to kind of merge some of this together. And that's one of the things that I've been, like, trying to do, is kind of work on some techniques and changing a little bit of how I think about, like, painting, to see if I can adapt some of, like, my thought process and how maybe it will kind of spark a little change in how I do things. And I don't know that it's taking on the look or effect that I want, but part of what I'm searching for is like a growth in how I'm learning to adapt and do. So that's kind of where my goal is to not necessarily just be stuck on a moment of what I think should happen, versus instead take it to another, like, level and not stress over exactly what I'm doing, even though technically I really don't stress over it, because I always say it's just paint. There are days that I'm like, I wish this had worked out a little bit differently. I wish I had done this a little bit differently. But in the long run, that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm not quite getting what I wanted out of it, but that's okay. So, long explanation of what's happening here, and I'm going to keep going on my edges here. So today, Owen he woke up early, but he had a fantastic day as the day went on. He was able to go to some extra therapies today, and I didn't know, but what he calls his best friend was there, and that just made his day. He was so excited, and he kept telling me that he got to go on a bear hunt with his best friend, at a game I guess they played, or songs, who knows, I'm not sure, of all the activities they did. They did tons of activities. And so he was so excited about that. And he didn't stop talking about what they did and who he got to see and just like the whole thing. It was fabulous. And he knows that he's going back tomorrow, and he's going back the rest of the week to do more of these activities. And so he was telling me that he gets to see his best friend again tomorrow. He said, I wrote it down quickly because I knew I was going to forget it. He said, I get to see him 4 more days. I think he said 4 more days, 3 more days, 2 more days, 1 more day, something to that effect. And it made me happy that he could process when he was getting to see him, and the words alone of kind of how that was happening and everything. So that in itself made me happy that he was kind of, like I said, processing it all and excited about the week ahead. So then we came home, and he talked again all about his friend and what they got to do and just all of that. And then he went to his vision therapy, and he's been struggling with this for quite some time now, several months. It feels like an eternity. It feels like it's been years, but I know it's not been that long. I mean, just because the timing it just all blends together, you know. But he had an incredible day. He was able to do many of the exercises. He was kind to his doctor. He repeated some things, and like he tried to bite my hair, but it was more out of like anxious moments and attention grabbers and things like that. And then once he kind of got through that, he was able to slow down and process it. And it was really good for him. So I was glad about that. And when we were driving home, I said, I told him that he did incredible and that it was wonderful to see him have so much fun when he had been having, so many hard days with it. And I said, you did fan. And before I could even say anything, he goes, tastic. And I'm like, yep, buddy, you did. And so, I mean, I try for him to understand when, even if he's struggling, that he has those fantastic days, that he knows what it's all about. And I want him to understand that there's things that he has to behave in, and that's my thing with this is he may have autism. He has these things that are set in his mind, and he has specific things that he goes through, and I mean, who doesn't, kind of thing. But I don't give up on the fact that he can know, and does to a great extent, know what good behavior is and what the wrong behavior is when he's not doing something. Now, there are things he's still learning, but he knows that being mean to someone, like hitting them, kicking, licking their heads, these are not behaviors that he needs to continue with. And, there are things, lots of things, that can be redirected, taken away. But with Owen, redirecting, believe me, I do tons of redirecting. But he also has to know that there are certain behaviors, once he understands what they are, that that is not something that we do. It's, you know, it's kind of like the banana. It was a meltdown food with Owen for years. Now, the banana is not something that we can ignore and just say, okay, well, he has meltdowns over it, and I'm gonna never put him in a position where he ever sees a banana. Well, you can drive literally down the road, stop at a red light. This has happened to us, and somebody in the car next to us is eating a banana. Okay? Well, that little encounter has changed our lives for days. I can't even tell you how many times something like that has happened. That is a meltdown. That is not like, it's behavioral, but it's not a behavior that he can necessarily quote unquote control or know that it's right or wrong, because it's not something that's based off of, I'm going to hit this person or kick this person because of this scenario. This is something based on other things in his body that he just can't process or control. So there's different scenarios, completely different scenarios. When he absolutely knows that there is something wrong with doing XYZ, then he should not be, quote unquote, continuously doing those behaviors. And like I said, it's not something that he learns overnight. It's not something that goes away quickly. It's not something that changes. But he needs to know that he cannot do certain things. It took years for us to work through working through bananas with him. Now, like I said, it's something that we had to work through. It's something that we couldn't just let go, because if he's going to have a meltdown, it's continuously. I mean, it's going to happen all the time. When you especially that he's in a school age, he's going to have more access to bananas. So it literally took about 7 years for him to get to the point where it wasn't a meltdown food for him. It wasn't something that when he saw it, it was a problem. And so behavior is a lot like that. I don't necessarily think that it's so hard to explain. I don't think that he is still in control over a lot of his behaviors, because he's not fully understanding the difference between sad and laughing at somebody that's sad versus feeling sorry for them or something like that. So there's still a lot more towards behavior. But you got to start someplace. You got to put the cart in the horse range, because he can't continuously think that licking of somebody's head is an appropriate behavior. Now, I get that there's redirecting of that, but this is not a sensory thing. This is a complete and utter, like, it's a behavioral thing. He has a lot of sensory things. Licking of people's heads is not a sensory thing. It is a behavioral. And believe me, I know the difference with him on a lot of it. Now, do I know all the differences? Oh, no, because there's just no possible way I can figure out all of the things with all of the things. But I know what he's doing with that, and I can tell with his emotions and how he's handling it and the words that he says with it, that it's not something that needs to be redirected. It needs to be addressed, and finding the right words with him, finding the right solutions, finding the right emotions for him to connect to. That's the process. That's where it's still all kind of growing and developing, because he is ever changing. He's still learning what emotions are, but I fully believe he is capable of so much more than I even understand, or have gotten to the point that I think he understands or think he's developed. So I don't think it's something that there's so many little parts, moving parts of how our body interprets, different things. So it's a lot of emotions. But I truly think behavior comes in many shapes and sizes. So one day at a time, working on it. But today was a great day. Today was one of those days that even when he bit my hair, licked my head, it was behavior, but he connected with it and realized he needed to stop, focus back on his exercises, and do those with his doctor, which was incredible. He had an incredible day. So I'm very proud that he's starting to kind of see those steps as well, and was able to handle them, was able to get through it. I keep making more, like, this did not go according to plan, but that's whole part of the plan, is finding what works and what doesn't work, not only for me and not only for my painting, but for life, for what we should and shouldn't do. And that kind of is the story of all of this, So we do O for Owen, and then L and B. And I am the first to say to Owen, Mommy got that wrong. You got it right. You got it wrong. Mommy got it right. We need to do teamwork and get it together. And, that's the thing, is we have to own up to our moments. Because I tell him all the time, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. You got to give me time to have my coffee. And he'll even say to me, Mommy's got to get her coffee. And, it makes you, I got paint all over me, so I'm like, I felt like I had a section here that, I don't know, just gave me something. So anyways, I'm so happy that he had a good day, and tomorrow will be another one. He gets to go back, so good stuff coming. Okay, not the sunflower we were expecting. It's kind of a shaggy one. I think there's many names of them, but there you go. So, all right, thanks so much for watching and being a part of our day. Toodles, toodles.